Buongiorno, everybody. Even though the past 2 weeks I've done lots of stuff with pumpkin and squash, and I swore this week I wasn't going to, there was these cookies I wanted to make last week that I didn't end up having the time to make. Just because one of the days I was going to come on, we had stuff I had to put away and, had to do house stuff. So anyway, I wanted to make these pumpkin cookies because one of the things I like to do, no matter where I live, and I used to do this up in New Jersey all the time, and everywhere else I've lived, it was up there the most. I used to take little treats every now and then over to the police department or the firehouse or whoever people, even my grocery store, my Trader Joe's in Madison or Florham Park. I used to just take little treats because these are people that served me all the time, and I felt like I liked to show my appreciation, and I like to know everybody. When a police car passes me, I always wave. When the fire trucks pass, I always wave, whether they pass my house or I pass them on the street. And since I have such a noticeable little car with the big old Italian flag on the front, people start to recognize me and they wave back, and it's a nice feeling of community. You should know everybody that works or serves in your community. So we're gonna make some pumpkin biscotti, which are pumpkin cookies. They're really nice. They're chewy on the inside and they're a little crackly on the outside. We're going to sprinkle them with powdered sugar on the top. When they bake, they kind of make little cracks on the top and really pretty and yummy. So I have cooked up already some of my squash / pumpkin that I still had. So we're going to actually, wait a minute. We're not doing that first. We're doing this first. We're going to strain it. Get some of this water out because we want it to be pretty dry. So what's it like where you are today? It's gloomy here today. I thought it was supposed to get nice this week. I think it's not going to start now till tomorrow. This weekend's supposed to be nice, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll be our first weekend completely home in a few weeks, so I'm really happy. All right. And you can hear the water dripping out from underneath. A little more pieces. Okay, set that aside. And we're gonna let this drain until we need it in a few minutes. Push it down a little. Okay. So anyway, I'm excited for these because I've actually been craving these since I started doing all the pumpkin stuff 2 weeks ago, and I'm finally making them, so I'm excited. So we're gonna start with this, and let's see, a whisk. And you know me, I love my flat whisk. So we're gonna start with 2 eggs. Since it's the first thing I'm putting in, I'm not worrying about putting them into something different first. Oops. I'm really batting 1,000 today, not even making it back into the bowl. All right, so 2 eggs. And basically here we've got a ½ cup of oil. So you can use a seed oil like sunflower oil. You can use a lighter olive oil. I wouldn't use extra virgin. You can use extra virgin. They often do in Italy. But I'm using a plain olive oil, which is one below, not quite as heavy as extra virgin. So ½ cup of oil. And then this is about 110 grams of powdered sugar, which I forgot to measure, so I'll measure it out later for you when I write the recipe. It's about a cup. Actually, no, it's not. It's less than a cup. I'm pretty sure. But approximately thereabouts. We'll figure it out. I was trying to be so organized today. I had all my stuff out, So anyway, then I forgot to measure the sugar. So we're just going to mix this up and get it nice and get that powdered sugar all broken up. Get it off the sides. So I really do recommend, especially at the holidays because we're already baking, but even during the course of the year, make something nice for a neighbor, or like I said, people that serve in your community, hospitals, even places you shop at where it's the same people you see on every day. All right, so we've got this nice little egg and sugar and oil mixture. And I know a lot of people like to keep the oils out of their cooking or whatever, the fats. A lot of these Italian cookies use oil instead of butter. So if you're comparing the two, the oil is going to be less fat, even though it's an olive oil especially, or you can use a coconut oil. They're very healthy fats, so that's a really good thing. Oh, my espresso machine is calling my name. It's on, and every now and then it goes, makes all those little noises. I might have to have an espresso with these in a little while because I had my cappuccino kind of early this morning. All right, so now we have, let's see here, 450 grams of flour, which is approximately 3 cups. That much I know. So we're going to put this in a little bit at a time. We'll put some of it in, and then we're going to put in a teaspoon of baking powder, which of course I forgot my spoon. Let's see. Yep, just 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then we're going to mix that together a little bit at a time. And then we're going to, before I put all the rest of the flour in, so I'm going to mix this. And you can do this in a mixer, hand mixer, or your big KitchenAid, but I don't really need to because everything's soft. Let's put that right over there. Okay, so really quick before I finish up, we're going to measure out 200 grams of zucca. So we've got this nice and strained. So let me get this to 0. And we're going to put in 200 grams, which is, oh, that's 100. Just shy of 2. So it's probably like it's probably a good cup or so. Move this over here, get it out of our way. We're going to throw this in. Add some more moisture to the mix. Make sure you break it up. Now you can run this through the food processor if you want really, but once it's cooked and it's soft, it's really mushy anyway, so you can just break it up with them. We'll throw that in. Now there's lots of recipes for similar, this type of cookie. There's one that calls for, probably like a 1/4 cup of almond flour in it too. That's nice. You can also do partial whole wheat with this. And that's also gives it a little more, each of those give it obviously a nuttier flavor. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish doing this without the whisk because it sticks to the whisk. And oh, there's my spoon. Just smushing those pumpkin pieces down. Now you can make these plain. If you want to add a little something to it, you could add chocolate chips, or what I would say before, better than regular chocolate chips, mini chips, because that would be really cool. You can also do this because it's like a dough, obviously a cookie dough. You can also do it with your hands and finish blending it up. And if there's little chunks of pumpkin that are, solid, it's okay. Like when I made that cake last week and there was the little teeny chunks in there, oh my gosh, it was like a little, just, I don't know, little bite of pumpkin. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to take our cookie sheet. Actually, I'm gonna wash this. I'm gonna do parchment paper today. When you got a sticky dough like this, a little piece of parchment is nice because they'll cook up nice. And then you don't have to wash the pan between rounds. Okay, So now, we're going to do something else cool. Got my little bit of extra powdered sugar ready. Now, you can do this two ways. You can take your little ball of dough, okay? Actually, oh, I was gonna roll my hands in a little flour, but you don't really need it. Make my little ball of dough, and you can roll the whole thing in powdered sugar, but I think that's too much. I'm gonna do one just to show you. So you can roll it in powdered sugar, and then put it down here. Or you can just roll the little balls, and then we're gonna top them with powdered sugar. So I guess it just depends on, that's a little piece of pumpkin that wouldn't let it stay in a ball. So I'm making kind of 1.5 to little 1.5 balls. These, now make sure you give yourself room because these do kind of, poof, they spread out. They smell pumpkin-y. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. We're gonna, to the second half of the batter, I'm gonna add some cinnamon. Cinnamon is very, very common to add to things like pumpkin. You know, we all know it as, in America, as pumpkin pie spice. In Italy, they tend to make pumpkin flavored things or squashes like these. This squash that I used was actually half Hubbard squash and half Cinderella squash. So both of them very good, but I had some of each in the fridge. So I peeled them and cooked them up. A little bit of, I figure I'll mix it. So anyway, so in Italy, they tend to use more just the natural pumpkin flavor. We like to cinnamonize everything. And I love cinnamon and it's very, very healthy for you. But what I urge you to do is try it both ways. Because I know right away somebody's saying, oh, I would add cinnamon to that. I just know somebody's saying that with dough on my fingers. A little piece of pumpkin, I'm gonna roll it into the inside. But, what I'm going to say is try some plain and then try some with cinnamon. The other thing you can do, which would be kind of fun, is put mix some mix some cinnamon with your powdered sugar. So now I've powdered sugar all these. I'm going to put them in the oven and you're going to see how they're going to kind of crackle on top. Of course, I've got doughy hands. Ugh, there we go. Let's do another one. So I've got the oven. You want it either on 200 degrees Celsius or higher than 350. 180 Celsius is approximately 350. Which is what our normal baking temps are. This is a little higher. So I've got mine on about 375. I think 200 might be a little higher than that, but that's okay. My oven gets nice and hot. So what I'm gonna do, well, I'm gonna leave mine plain because I'm gonna do them Italian style. But, besides, my fingers are all sticky and I don't feel like I wanna get the cinnamon. But you can actually mix cinnamon in the dough. You can put a little nutmeg. Now, nutmeg is a little bit of a different flavor. We do put it in with normally our pumpkin stuff with the cinnamon, but nutmeg on its own is very, very nice. It's kind of a sticky dough to work with. So, I mean, you could get flour and flour your hands if you want, but it's not really horrible. Not really. So I'm just putting, well, I think I'm just putting 9 on a sheet. I'm staggering rows of 3, just because I want to give them room. And they cook so much nicer when you don't try to cram them in. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to regular sugar these. These are not a super sweet cookie. You know, it's a little bit of powdered sugar. Oh, let's put a little more in that one. I want the crackles on top. I'm going to stick this one in too on a higher. Okay, I'm going to get my cinnamon out. Hold on. And now I have the fun of refilling my cinnamon jar. Now I only keep the giant spices of the things. Oops, there we go. The things I use a lot of, like cinnamon. The rest of it, oh, this one's damp. This will work better. The rest of them I keep smaller because spices do get old and they lose their flavor. For me, I'm using cinnamon probably every day, whether it's on my toast, whether it's in my coffee sometimes, because cinnamon is so good for you that I try to add it when I can because it's good for you. So I'm going to put a little bit in the dough. Let's do that. Oops, I got a little bit of cinnamon on my spoon here. I don't want it to be too overdone. Here we go. And then what I'm going to do with this batch, since it's got a little cinnamon, just a little, but you know, a little bit of cinnamon goes a long way. A lot of cinnamon goes a lot further. I put a little cinnamon in the dough, and what I'm going to do is in my powdered sugar, I'm going to add some cinnamon. Now, when you do something like that, the crackling, the pretty white crackle on top from the powdered sugar isn't quite as pronounced, but it's still, it tastes good. All right, so when I do these other ones, I'm going to sprinkle cinnamon and powdered sugar with a little bit of cinnamon in here. And that's how we're going to make some cinnamon biscotti alla zucca. Cinnamon and plain pumpkin cookies, crackly cookies. What can I call them? Pumpkin crack. That's it. Let's see how good they are. Let me see if I got one more tray I can use right here. Excuse the noise. I love having this little teeny up and down skinny thing to put my cookie sheets in. It's awesome. Always wanted one of those. Okay, one more tray. So let's see, we've got, let me see how many cookies this makes. Oh, I'm smelling something good. I hope they turn out as good as they smell. All right. One more batch of dough. And this time they're going to be cinnamoned. I probably could make these a little smaller. I bet you they'd go a little further. So we've got 18 in there. So this probably makes close to, if I made them a little smaller, you'd get 3 dozen out of this batch. Now, there are the stereotypical biscotti that are the ones that you cook in a log and you slice and then you cook again, which means twice cooked. Biscotti means twice cooked. But biscotti has come to mean cookie in general in Italy. Here we know biscotti as those long, nice and toasty pieces. Gosh, I can't stand when people say biscotti. At least say biscotti. You see, don't forget, and I think I've told you before, when you have a double consonant in Italian, you pronounce both consonants. So biscott and T. So biscotti. See how easy that is? Repeat it after me, biscotti. And look at this. I have like just enough dough to make like 2 more cookies. There's no way I'm going to get them on here because I already added 3 cookies to this tray. But that's all right. I'll do them on one last tray afterwards. Yep, that's about 2 cookies there. But that's okay. We're going to move that aside for the moment. What I'm going to do now is sprinkle these with powdered cinnamon sugar. Okay, and we are set. So, I'm gonna let those, I'm not gonna overcrowd the oven right now. I'm gonna let those finish cooking before I put these in, and then I'll grab one of those trays and put those last 2 cookies on. But I'm gonna wash my hands and we're gonna sit down and chat. And before we chat, I'm gonna point something out to you. So, you know, when you're gonna dry seeds for whatever purpose, whether you're going to eat them, you know, you can bake them, these are big giant seeds. This is from the Cinderella squash. They're really big seeds. First thing you want to do is wash them off. You want to get as much of the slimy pumpkin off of them as you can, because any of the pumpkin that's on there and any of the moisture that's on there can cause them to then mold, and you don't want to do that. You want them to dry nice. So you want to wash them off nice, and then you want to spread them. You can do it on a towel or just in a cookie sheet or whatever, but make sure you toss them around every now and then, but keep them away from each other. I recently saw, well, actually I know a lot of people who just throw them in a little dish, and they go like this once in a while, but it really takes a long time for them to dry, and oftentimes you're going to create mold, and mold is just going to ruin your seeds. So if you want to eat them, especially, you don't want them moldy, and if you want to plant them, you don't want them moldy because they're not going to grow. So make sure that when you save pumpkin seeds or any of your squash seeds, whether you're going to roast them and eat them, or you're going to save them to plant them, make sure that you wash them off, make sure that you dry them off, and that they've dried completely in the air, and that they've tossed around, and that you've laid them in as much of a single layer as you can. Okay, this one, I actually already saved some of these to cook, but these I'm saving to plant, and I don't need a million of them, and I also still have more of them. But these came out of the section that I cut today, and so I've spread them out. So that's what you want to do, okay? So little tip for pumpkin seed people. Well, before we go away, let's just take a peek at these cookies. The actual recipe says that they're supposed to cook for a good solid 25 minutes. So 25 to 30, I think it is. I lost my recipe. That's okay, because I dropped it. Hold on. Bye. I'm back. It's, 20 to 25 minutes. And since my temperature is probably a couple degrees lower than what it should be, might be 25 to 30. So I'm gonna let those cook, and we are going to go and chat for a few minutes, but you've had your cookie lesson and you've had your seed lesson, so I feel like I did my job for today. How you doing? So anyway, I'm gonna pull you guys up on my, let's see if there's any questions. You know, the other day when I made that pumpkin bread and the pumpkin focaccia, I gotta tell you, so I posted the picture of it on my page, I think last night, and I'm gonna post the recipe. I'm gonna sit down today and do some writing, but oh my gosh, did everybody go crazy over the focaccia with a little bit of oregano and a little bit of salt on top, and then you cut it open and put a little bit of my pumpkin jam on it. It was crazy. It was crazy good. Crazy good. So anyway, I have 898 subscribers on YouTube. Just 2 more to hit 900. So if you know anybody, please do me a favor. Help me hit 900, because then I'm on the downward stretch to getting my 1,000. It's like my goal, you know. All right. Wow. 23 comments. I hope that everybody who's on would please, you know, say hi to me and let me know you're there. Oh, thank you. Eileen says that she just subscribed. Thank you, Eileen. So what I do, you know, some of you guys who watch me on the regular already know, but I try to do my lives on here on Facebook, and then we edit them. So we take out some of my, you know, stupid things like walk into the sink to wash my hands and 3 times, and we put them on my YouTube channel, which I also am, you know, I've got them in categories, so you can say, oh, I want to look up cookies, or I want desserts, or I want pasta dishes, or sauces, or blah, 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 whatever. And some of them are cross-posted in different playlists, but there's playlists there, so if you want something specific, I'm hoping that you'll always be able to find my stuff on my YouTube channel. I'm a little behind, but I'm getting there. But I finally got somebody editing my stuff. Thank you, Mariana, my darling other daughter. She's my Angelina's best friend in the world, and Angelina has great friends. I mean, she really does. You know, all of her friends I love to pieces, but I gotta say, Mariana has been to Italy with us 3 times. She is you know, probably Angelina's oldest close friend. And she's now my editor. You know, I'm married to one, but you know, trying to get him to do stuff is like pulling. I'm just kidding. He's good though. Okay, so let's see. Anybody have any questions? Jim, you're not a pumpkin fan? Well, guess what? This wasn't pumpkin, Jim. This was squash. And you got to try this because it is that good. And it's not, you know, most people, so I'm going to address this. Thank you, Jim Campanato, for your comment. You love me and my show, but you're not a pumpkin fan. You know, in America, we tend to know pumpkin in one flavor profile, and that's with pumpkin pie spice flavoring. So it's always that kind of pumpkin flavor that we're used to. And if you're not a fan of all of that heavy, so you'd probably like these cookies because the actual real recipe, which is an Italian recipe, does not have any cinnamon in it. So it is definitely a different flavor than what you're used to as pumpkin. So I urge you to try one of these squashes, and any winter squash. You can use a butternut, you can use a long neck, you can use the Hubbard or the Cinderella, which is what I just used, the Hubbard and the Cinderella. And check it out without all the crazy spices, which I love. I do love that, but I get tired of it too. So try some of these squash recipes that I've made this past week that don't have cinnamon in them, that have different flavor profiles, and I guarantee you're gonna like at least one of them. So I would say if you're gonna try any of the recipes I've done the last week, I would either make the pane alla zucca, the bread with the zucca in it, which was the squash, or the squash and chickpea soup that I made at the beginning of last week. That was to die for. That was probably one of my favoritist soups ever. Favoritist, it's my word, favoritist. So anyway, Jim, please do me a favor, try at least one of these without all the typical pumpkin flavor profile and see if you like one of them, because I bet you'll like one. Very true, Denise. Italian cookies are not as sweet or heavy spice flavored. So that really is true, but they're very simple and they go really good. You know, sometimes you have a cookie or cake or something that's really dense flavors, like really intense, and you're trying to have it with a cappuccino. You know, they just don't go together sometimes. Cinnamon does go with coffee, okay. But sometimes they're conflicting. But it's in Italy, because they also don't use so much sugar, you can actually taste the flavors of the foods that the things are made out of. So if it's a lemon cookie, it's not like lemon meringue pie, which is like so lemony, you're like one, you know, or lemon squares that are so lemony that are, you know, they make you pucker. No, lemon is a hint. It's a little bit of the zest, maybe a little juice, but it's a hint of lemon. And because it's not too overly sweet, you can actually taste it, and it's just a hint. It's a suggestion. It's a suggestion saying, I taste good. Try me and have another one, you know? So, you know, try that. So let's see. I just saw a couple of you say you subscribed. I have to just take a peek at my YouTube. $8.99. I need one more to make 900. I'm so excited. Thank you. So anyway, again, yeah, I kind of got off topic of where I was going to go, and now I don't even remember what I was going to talk to you guys about today, because we got talking about pumpkins and pumpkin flavors and things like that, and it's really important. When somebody tells me that they don't like something, of course, I take that as a challenge to make it in a way that you'll like it. So my answer is always, you just haven't had it right yet. So if you're not a big fan of pumpkin, try it my way, because you might like it. It's a different, you know, we've brought in a whole bunch of different recipes. You know, we get a little closer to Thanksgiving, I will make you guys a traditional pumpkin pie, American style. But I think I'm also going to make I'm going to make one of those crostata. I know I already made the crostata crust. I might try it out again. I might try a different one because I have a couple different recipes. But we're going to make a crostata with my pumpkin jam, because I'm actually going to make more pumpkin jam this week. I'm not going to do it live because you guys already saw me do it last week. But it is definitely really, really good. So get my pumpkin jam recipe. It doesn't taste like, again, I'm calling these pumpkin, but they're not, these are all types of pumpkins. In Italy, a zucca is a pumpkin, it's a squash. Any of the winter squashes are called zucca. So these are recipes con la zucca. Your standard pumpkin, they don't usually have like our kind of, just big old, jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. And they're not as flavorful. They're watery, they're stringy. They're not quite as good. They've actually been bred for beauty, but not for substance, You can have beauty and substance. These pumpkins I have, these squashes I have, are beautiful. The blue, I have a blue one. We're gonna do that one later on. They actually have a really long shelf life, and some of them actually aren't even officially fully ripe yet. So, I'm gonna wait a couple more weeks. But, this week is Halloween. So personally, I may make some jack-o'-lantern cookies to hand out to the kids. Or I might just, if these are really good, I just might make some more of these, put them in little baggies and say, here, with my name on them, made by me, like I said yesterday. So, that's it. So I finally got these 2 new cabinets to go in my dining room to put the rest of my stuff in. And yesterday I spent the entire day just unwrapping dishes, and I actually have this set of antique china that my great Aunt Phyllis gave me. So Aunt Phyllis was my grandmother's next younger sister under her. And she gave me this set of china, and it has these, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the old-fashioned china. Some of them are so pale and so kind of blah. They were elegant, but they were So these though, this set had really bright, almost like, see the hot pink that's in the picture behind me, that bright pink, like that kind of pink, little teeny flowers around the edges, and then one little teeny one in the very center. And they're kind of an off, and they're so pretty. I love the pop of the hot pink. Okay, it's not hot pink as we know it today, but it's a very bright, pretty pink. And so, of course, they've got like newspaper smudges off. I've had them in newspaper for so long. They've got all the newspaper fingerprint smudges, so I've got to wash them all one by hand, because I'm not putting those in the dishwasher. But I was really excited to pull out some of my stuff, find things. I found my dishes. When Pasquale and I first got married, we were in California. And, he got this little apartment, and I arrived, and he literally had nothing but 2 candles and a blanket on the floor. Of course, we got married just a month later when we had a full apartment. But I get out there, and, well, first I'll tell you a funny thing, because this is just, I was telling you about the dishes, but I have to tell you about the candles. Nowadays, you can go to the grocery store and buy the tall candles in the glass jars with the saints' pictures on them and stuff, Well, these were 2 white candles that were in those tall, like church candles, I always called them. So I'd never seen them. At that point in time, they were just starting to sell those in the public. It used to be you just saw them at church. You'd use those long wooden sticks to light a candle, and put the 25 cents in the little box, or what, a little pour box, and light a candle and say a prayer for good wishes or good intentions. So I'd never seen these outside of a church. So here I am in California, and I see these 2 white candles that Pasquale had, and I'm like, where did you get these? I'm like, where'd you get these candles? He goes, oh, I took them from a church. And I believed him. Well, he forgot that he said that to me, because I was just thinking, oh my gosh, really? That's terrible. How can you steal candles from a church? And then then one of my first trips to the grocery store, and the grocery store chain out there was called Ralph's. So I'm at Ralph's, and I'm going down the aisles, getting acclimated to the new store, and I see all these candles on a shelf. And I just busted out laughing at myself and at him. I went back. I'm like, you didn't steal those candles. Oh, no, I know. I bought them at Ralph's. I'm like, you told me. And I really believed it. Terrible. So anyway, but I bought my first set of dishes at Ralph's. Every now and then a grocery store will have a set. And they were so very 80s California. It was like a heavy stoneware. and it had like a light blue and a light pink and I don't know what other tone, but it was all like these pastel just rings around the edge of the dish. And then I had they were kind of like these pinky mauve mugs, and so I had some little bowls and some of the flat dishes and some of the mugs, and I was happy, and I loved those dishes. I have, I think, 5 of the big plates left. I don't have any of the bowls left. They long since we used them and broke them or lost them or whatever. And I have one, I think I have one. I think I have 2 mugs. I swear I had 2 mugs, but I know I have one. It's in my behind glass right now. I loved those mugs. They were the perfect size, not those great big giant mugs. And I loved those dishes, so I still have them. I don't know if I'll probably use them maybe once in a while for us. I like to use my stuff because there's no point in hanging on to junk just to put it on a shelf to collect dust. I have some glasses, some wine glasses and champagne glasses and some little shot glasses that belonged to my grandmother, to my great-grandmother, to my mother, to, you know, I've got different glassware pieces and things that are from my own life here in 31 years. And you know what? I use them because I'm using it and I'm thinking of the person I got it from. And you know what? If it breaks, it breaks. What are you going to do? You can't take it with you. I mean, you can stuff it in a coffin, but you know, really, what's that going to do you? I'm sure we got, you know, cups made of gold in heaven, so who the heck needs this little piece of glass? But anyway, but I do have some glasses that are probably, you know, probably over 100 years. I'm probably pretty sure they're probably over 100 years old. And they're that real thin, you know, kind of fragile, but you know what? As long as it doesn't break in my mouth, I'm okay. But I really feel like use your things. Don't sit there and wait for a special day. Every day that we're alive on this earth is special. Bring it to your table. You know, maybe once a week you have fancy day. It could be your Sunday dinner. It could be Thursday night. And just bring out good china or good glasses or whatever it is, or just set the table with a different tablecloth. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just make it special and create the ambiance that people want to come to at your table. It's fun. It's a good time. And it feels more festive. And especially these days right now when we're stuck in the house, for Pete's sakes, make it special. It's the food, but it's the people around the table, and it's all the beauty. Remember, we eat first with our eyes and our nose and our ears before it ever hits our mouth. We hear the crackling of something cooking. We smell it. We see the beauty of it on the plate, and then we taste it. Oh, and that makes the flavor so much more intense, you know? So on that note, oh, you know what? Before we go, we're going to go look at the cookies. I don't know. Let's see. They haven't been in a full 25 minutes yet, but let's go see. Let's see. Whoop! Oh my goodness. Oh, these are awesome. All right, hold on. Pick one of these up, but they're so, whoop! Look can you see it? It's not quite as crackly as oh, you know, this one's more crackly. See how it's got a little crackle in the top? Oh, and the little bit of sugar that melted around them gave it a little caramelization around the edges. Oh, ow. That's hot. Let me back you up. And can't really see the cookie being cut, but I'm going to cut it. Ooh. So it's nice and crispy on the edges. I don't know if you can see it. And it's dense on the inside. You know what? Not very sweet. So the inside's not too sweet. The little bit of powdered sugar on the outside gives it just that taste of sweetness on your lips. When we eat, let me see if I can do this right now. Maybe straight instead of crooked. When we eat cookies and desserts and sweets that are really sweet, we keep eating them because of the sweetness, and it becomes addictive and it's unhealthy. When you have something like this, you can enjoy one or two, you get the flavor, you get just a little bit of sweetness on your lips from the outside powdered sugar and a little caramelization of it around the bottom edges. Crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, little piece of pumpkin showing there on the bottom, or squash, I should say. But perfect with an espresso, a cappuccino for breakfast, or an espressino in the afternoon, which is just a mini cappuccino. These babies. Let's see which side am I on. I've turned my camera around so that you guys can see me properly, but I look backwards to myself. This is actually my right hand. It looks like, well, it's my right hand there too, but anyway, here's my little cookie, and they're really good. So let me take the other tray out while you're still here, just because I don't have time to turn you off before I burn these other ones. Another tray. I'm gonna sit over here to cool. And on that note, I've got 2 trays out. Last one's in. I'm gonna cook up those last 2 little cookies that I had just a little bit of dough left. And I'm gonna take some of these, I don't know, to somebody, somewhere. Maybe the police station or the firehouse down the street. Because I don't need that many, you know. One for me, one for Pasquale. Carlo just left. He's gonna be gone all weekend because some of his friends are visiting from his old school. He used to go to McDaniel College in Maryland. And he currently goes to Salisbury, and all his buddies are coming down here, and they're going to hang out all weekend at his friends in Salisbury. So he's gone. So he's missing out on my cookies. That's what happens when they get big, you know? What are you going to do? All right, so try some squash baking, Jim, especially you. Don't think of it as pumpkin. Not all pumpkin has to have tons of cinnamon. I do love it. It has its place, but sometimes less is more. So try some of these recipes that don't have cinnamon in them. The squash is still really yummy. And again, different flavor profile. So, okay, who just wrote espresso? Denise, espresso. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, espresso, I need an espresso cappuccino. Okay, ESSPRESSO. It's all S's. Espresso. Wait, yes. Oh crap! Now I can't remember if it's 1 S or 2 because I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, it's S's. It's not X's. So lesson today. Today's food terminology lesson. Oh, you just messing up. You're just messing with me. Thank you. I thought you would know better than that. Espresso, not espresso. And if you ever hear anybody, not just Denise, if you ever hear anybody saying espresso, please correct them. Got to get it right. Oh, like getting under my skin, eh? I guess everybody already knows I don't like the mispronunciation of names. And I don't care if people, thank you. I don't care if people Americanize something. You know, I mean, sometimes we can't, not everybody can get those rolled R's or whatever, but at least get the gist of it. You know, like I prefer somebody saying manicotti than manigot. We've gotten that. That's Jersey. But anyway, you know, just go try some pumpkin and have a good day. And I will see you guys as soon as I can see you again, which will probably be tomorrow. Not pumpkin, just something else. But I had to make these cookies. So I've been wanting to make them since last week. So go make something. Bring the fam to the table. Kabish? See you later. Ciao.